but you made it sound like it was the most tragic thing in your life, and that to me is laughable. The new Snow White is weird. Weird. Y'all are comedians. Defined it as diarrhea because I so agree. Big poopy vibes. So I've recently learned that those who wanted to watch the Snow White movie that's gonna come out in 2025 are funny as frick. Let me show you my comment section that bring up a lot of valid points on things that could be done on the movie. So I'm gonna title this Disney, Let Us Help You with the Snow White movie. And I'm basically just gonna read what you guys left in my comment section to this video, which is basically me reacting to the trailer of Snow White and being extremely disappointed because how the heck do you spend that much money and end up with these results? That's my question, that's all. That's the reason I'm mad. I think these people have provided us a mystery of how you can waste so much money, and we are simply trying to solve it. So let's, without further ado, read these comments. When the evil queen looks more innocent than Snow White. The twist. This is a Freaky Friday prequel. Y'all watch Freaky Friday? It means it's a switch. That actually, because that was Disney. Low key.
If you don't know, the story is
Single mother, Tess Coleman, and her teenage daughter, Anna, couldn't be more different, and is driving them both insane. After receiving a cryptic fortune at the Chinese restaurant, the two wake up next day to discover that they have somehow switched bodies. That's all you need to know. I know that Disney has been doing like 6 attempts on trying to fix this movie, or they're working on their 6th test run of this movie. Yeah, that actually sounds quite funny. That actually sounds quite good. Wait, if you could do that, that would be, I mean, like, it's kind of completely outside the story of Snow White, but we're already at that point. Can you guys do that? Disney, this comment section is low-key helping you out. That sounds really funny. Ironic, isn't it? It's like Snow White and the evil queen had been brain swapped. Yeah, but like, couldn't that be a good story? Like, I would be so into that plot. Wait a minute. I think they're onto something here. The problem is they disrespected animation in the name of making it mature and then produced the biggest diarrhea you've ever seen. Yeah, I like how you just defined it as diarrhea because I so agree. Big poopy vibes. You think you the shiz, bish, you ain't even a fart vibes. That's like how that, yeah. Quote, if this is so expensive, why does it look so cheap? The most common question in many Disney films for a while now. Yeah, I'm gonna be so real with you. I kind of stopped. Like when Disney started transferring to Disney Plus, I was there for a little bit. Loki was a good series. I honestly think it was the best series they had, at least from what I watched. I kind of just stopped from there though. You just look at that stuff and are like, how is this $200 to $300 million? Yeah, that's literally incomprehensible to most people, I think. And make it look like it. Like, come on. Because the thing is, if it looks cheap, but it's expensive, that means someone is getting the money. The money is going somewhere. It's not like it's just being thrown away. It's either in someone's pockets or maybe it was thrown away because of a lot of mistakes and miscommunications. Honestly, we don't know. A documentary on why Disney almost flopped because of this movie would be so fascinating. If someone got that connection, y'all should do that too while we're at the topic. Kind of funny you mentioned Snow White as a horror film because there's literally a Snow White horror film coming out called Death of Snow White. You totally called it. I mean, if you already got it looking crazy, why not make it look crazier? Why not just go full on out with the crazy? But I don't even think they know how to do a horror film. That's my other thing. And by the like, I mean, they could hire the people, but obviously that didn't work here. I doubt it'll work there. But you know, I'm just being critical at this point. I'm just losing hope in Disney. It's all right. Everything's fine. I think the point with everyone pointing out who's prettier is that when the queen asks who's fairer, she asks about beauty, whereas the mirror is answering in regards to purity. But if the queen is, wait, the queen, the evil queen is supposed to be, oh, that could be a whole story in itself. I think Disney, I don't know how it's going to go now, but Disney did want to do kind of a backstory on the evil queen, which would make sense on, honestly, that pureness thing can get really interesting and really twisted, but I think if people actually read books and historical context, I feel like that could be a very informative, historical, and good thing that they do. But I almost don't want them to do it now that I've seen what they've been producing recently. Low key, to the lowest of keys. Back to the comment. But if the queen is both more beautiful and comes across as a nicer person too, then what's even the point? I think that's a good point. If it wasn't such a big part of the story, I think we wouldn't criticize it as much. But it literally is like the whole intro of the story is, hey, queen after this girl because of, oh, she asked Mirror this thing, and all of a sudden this girl is now a target. I mean, if it wasn't such a big story, like part of the story, where literally the queen every single morning would wake up and be like, Mirror, who's the fairest of them all? and she's expecting herself, and then all of a sudden it says Snow White, and then now they're going for Snow White. It is the whole beginning of the story. Literally, if it didn't happen, the story wouldn't happen. So I get that. I kind of agree. So Snow White is the first person in the kingdom to be more pure than the evil queen. I think that's where you can get really interesting with the story, because the idea of purity and Christianity, and I just feel like it could go a very interesting way, but not with the people they have in Disney right now. They have to do a big switch for that to work. But that can be a very, very interesting, historic, and informative learning curve type of movie, because I am very bad at history, so I love when films are accurate with history, because it helps me understand it and visualize it better. Not the first, she was just the purest and fairest of them all. Maybe they're in a small village. Low-key, what if there's like 5 women in the village and they're looking for like the fairest woman of them all, and then you're like, well, options are low. I don't think they put context into like where they at. So every day the queen asks, who is the fairest of them all? Every day the mirror says, you are my queen. Until one day it says Snow White. So until Snow White, no one is fairer than the queen. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like such a big part of the story, so that's why a lot of people were not really pointing out only the prettiness, but just kind of like the vibes. Because even Rachel, I saw her in like a random Vogue interview, and she was talking about like how much of a nightmare her audition was.
Do you have a terrible audition experience?
I do have a terrible audition experience, enough auditioning for a Broadway show of a very famous Broadway musical that was having a revival, and the producers and directors were ordering lunch while I was singing. It was so horrible.
Actually, while you were singing.
Like, you don't even understand how much harder people have it in the world. Not like even in just auditioning for parts. Like, people have gone through way worse than what you have, but you made it sound like it was the most tragic thing in your life, and that to me is laughable. But that's only because I know how the real world somewhat works. Like, I've seen this with my eyes. I'm not in this oblivious la la land. Okay. I'm okay with that. Personally, who's the fairest of them all? Proceeds to pan into image of Lord Farquaad. You did not, but that is so funny. That is so funny. That is literally hilarious. This is why I need to give you guys need a platform. Y'all are comedians. That did crack me up. I think when I was editing, I also was like, low key, that's a little ironic. I already know the costumes and CGI will be the least of the movie's problems. No prince. Yeah, that was also something I was thinking about. I was like, what happened to the prince here? No prince, romance, girl boss, arrogant Snow White. What the hell is this? Same thing happened with the Little Mermaid live action, where the directors and writers missed the point. You know, I watched that while on the plane, and it was fine, but I think I knew in that moment I wanted more too. So that's why I really like talking about this, because to me this is almost like the people who are funding Disney, by the way, are speaking out and saying we want better and we want more. And I think that's completely within our rights to do, because if Disney wants that the money, they're gonna have to think about their audience. And I think the audience is speaking up, which it's like we're working together to talk about like, we're done with this, like stop going this direction, and I'm kind of into it. That's why I'm here. So I also felt like something was missing in The Little Mermaid, but I feel like I couldn't pinpoint it as much as this movie. I think I might have to rewatch and see. But when it came to what Ariel wanted and how she got it, it's like Disney is shaming women and girls for liking a man or not being strong enough. What if I don't want to be strong in the way that you want me to be? What if I do want someone else in my life? There are bad lessons to be taught to the young. Shaking my head. Disney needs to stop rewriting stories. Yeah, I think to add on to that, like I said, I think there's no end story. There's no premise. There's no like, oh, so what I took out of this movie was... It doesn't seem like there's going to be any of that in this movie. Even if Disney paid me $1,000, I won't watch this movie. The reply to this had me laughing so hard. No, let's not be hasty. No, let's make smart decisions. Take the 1K and talk shit the whole time you watch it. Now we got a genius. We got a big brain. And that was so freaking funny to me. Just for context, I think the folks who are talking about who's prettier than whom are doing that because the entire premise of the story is that the queen wants to kill... Yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about. The queen wants to kill Snow White because Snow White is prettier than her. That's not an incidental plot either. It's the entire drive of the story. That was a great way to say it. It's the drive of the story. It's literally the initiative. It's the whole start of this story. So I agree. Oh, I think this person really knows something about costume. Like, they actually work with stuff, because listen here. I think the dress looks cheap because the materials and the way it is fitting Rachel. That's a good point. I didn't even think about like how it would fit the actor, even though I probably should have. When you look at pictures outside of the actual shooting, like outside of the set, outside in the sunlight, you can see the details. There was a lot of like floral details. The texture looked way better when she was outside of the set, in my opinion. But I agree, if they used more expensive textures like silk, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, why didn't they use silk? That's like the premium princess, or something that looks like silk that you should you know, you should know what to do with. It would have suited the royal aesthetic, but they went for a money, airy chiffon-like material, and chiffon is such a tricky material to look expensive. Yes, from my limited viewing of Project Runway, I found it to be very complicated. If you don't drape, yeah, this person knows what they're talking about. If you don't drape it properly and give it some sort of structure, then it's gonna look cheap, like a cupcake. That's rough. Also, the top with the gigantic puff, full sleeves, doesn't do anything for Rachel's body type. She looks petite, so that could have lowered the waistline. You really know what you're talking about. I'm so impressed. She looks petite, so they could have lowered the waistline, showing some skin on the arms, and made the puff sleeves smaller according to her proportions, so she doesn't look swallowed by the dress. But they went for the exaggerated Halloween costume and coupled that with this... That scared me. For the exaggerated Halloween costume and coupled with the small hairstyle with no volume. The hair, I didn't even want to get into that because Lord Farquaad indeed was it. She just looks like a nightmare. This is such a big failure on the costume design department. Yeah. I have a video I'm actually going to do coming out pretty soon where I do almost an analysis, somewhat of a marketing analysis on where they went wrong with the marketing, but I felt like they couldn't even get into the proper marketing because of the delays, as well as the changes, as well as the backlash. There was a lot going on. So I do a video basically focusing on who the players of making this movie was, according to my research, and what possibly went wrong. And then I just kind of have a little bit of longer video, but a further discussion on what I feel is up with this movie. Yeah, I love that comment. I think they spent most of their budget on CGI and reshoots. And the funny thing is they're still reshooting. And cut corners in the other departments. There is no way that the costume and hair department is pleased with this outcome. Yes, I think that's the same with the CGI part. I don't think the person who worked on the sets for this likes to work with CGI. So they were forced to work with CGI. And it's very evident, like, no one was happy with this film. Like, no one, not us, not them, no one who worked on it. Like, no one is proud of this. They're just making it making it work enough. The new Snow White is weird. Weird. I kind of love that. And all the emojis, I can't. You'd have to pay me $209 million just to watch this movie. That was a good one. I'm rooting for the poison apple. Has me wheezing. Bro, me too. When I read that, I was like, I feel like that's a threat. Kind of funny though. One question for Disney. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? Valid. The montage of the trailer is actually unintentionally funny. I love how you touched on who's the fairest of them all and Lady Farquaad being... I'm so perky frame in the next shot. That was so crazy. And one more thing about the costume. Besides being cheap as fuck, it is also unclear why it's still... why it is still clean while her hair is... She just said her hair, it's greasy. She said, why is your hair so greasy but your costume so clean? And that's not continuity. Y'all are cracking me up, guys. I can't get enough of this. This is so funny. I'm sorry for, like, kind of being a hater, but at least it's funny. And, like, yeah, that's, you know, $209 million. Where did it go? That's my main question. The good thing about the crappy remakes is that you appreciate the original movie even more, especially this one. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is a classic loved by so many people all around the world. It's iconic. It's Walt Disney's legacy. And his own company destroyed this legacy, this image, and childhood dreams with the woke shiz. I wouldn't be surprised if Walt Disney would return as a ghost to hunt down the people who took responsibility for this. Yo, Walt Disney Ghost is coming for us. It's coming for them. Not me, not I. I am but a customer. Yeah, the comments are kind of continuing and they're really funny. So if you want to read the comments, I'm just running out of recording space to be real with you. But I thought these were funny. I just went in order of what popped up first. But if you read the comments in the video that I posted not that long ago, they are so funny. It's not even funny how funny these comments are. So I just wanted to give you guys a little pedestal because y'all deserve it for your comedic work. Okay, as I said, I'm gonna have a video a little more serious and analytical about what I believe played into why this movie turned out as it is. And this is a big deal for me in a way because I think this is the people kind of revolting against Disney, saying we want better. And I want to see this in general outside of Disney. Like, I think there's a lot of jobs that are not doing great. I think even McDonald's disconnecting with people and having like these giant screens advertise, like, it just feels like we're going this direction and we're kind of just like, okay, sure. And then this is us kind of pushing back, being like, yo, this is a little too much, you know, with the technology and the CGI. Like, if you're gonna do it, just do it good. That's kind of all we're saying. But yeah, I had a blast reading your comments, so much so that I made a video on it. Please leave some more because y'all are so funny. And I hope to see you guys next video because I certainly had a grand time. And I'll see you next time. Bye.